before we start the video, please go check out some of my other ones after, of course, you watch this one. Also, please consider liking and subscribing. Alright, let's get back to it. It was September 30th, 1997, and the world was graced with a new type of game. A game that throws the comforts of life just out the window and drops the player into a post-nuclear war wasteland. Fallout was released, and people quickly drew into it. They loved the style, the humor, and the idea of being alone and having to survive in a dead world with fragments of its past. Fast forward a year later, and Fallout 2 was released, being another likable game by fans. But then, over 10 years later, the Fallout series would forever change, and it would be one of the first open-world games to master the open-world genre. Fallout 3 was released, and quickly beat its predecessors, and at the time was the best Fallout game to ever be made. With its open world and interesting characters. Don't forget the very good VATS combat system. To see it being played in first person was something just truly amazing. But arguably the best Fallout game of all time wasn't even made by Bethesda. Obsidian, known mostly for Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 and The Outer Worlds, took the Fallout franchise to another level by releasing Fallout New Vegas, a very classic and iconic game, having such a great DLC run that anyone has ever seen, and it's to this day known as the best Fallout ever made. As we come to the modern day, Fallout 4 was also a huge success, once again innovating the series by being the first game in the franchise to have the game's main character speak and be fully voice acted. It was a historical time for all us Fallout fans. Even with the release of Fallout Shelter, that game has more than 170 million downloads. Truly, Bethesda and Fallout could not lose. But the dark times would arrive on May 30th, 2018 at E3. Todd Howard announced a Fallout game that would have a bigger map size, more quests, characters, dialogues, combat, everything. Fallout 76 was announced and was hyped up to be the ultimate Fallout. Many fans, including myself, were extremely excited to play it. The launch day came and it was a huge disappointment. Too many bugs, constant crashes, and a lack of content. For the first time, Bethesda and Fallout disappointed the fans, removing the things we loved about Fallout, and for a while, the game was seen as a failure. But up until the last 2 years, Fallout 76 was a playable game, adding a lot of content and fixing its bugs. I mean, I've played it, and yes, it's a fun game. But what ruined it was supposed to be like that when it first launched. In July of 2020, we were surprised with the news that Fallout would be getting its own TV show developed by Amazon Prime. Many of us were extremely excited, but given the underwhelming experience of Fallout 76, it's a little hard to trust the franchise right now. And this show can once again bring back Fallout and make it known once again as a legendary game series. In this video, I'm going to be going over how the Fallout show can be great, similar to my FNAF movie video I did a while back. Check it out here if you haven't already. Anyway, I'm going to be going through everything, and the many things that can play into it being a very good television experience. Let's do this. We have official images posted on their IMDb website page. In this particular section of the video, I'm going to be focusing on characters, a very crucial part when it comes to creating a very successful TV show. Fallout is known for its weird, unique characters, giving them each very deep depth, but this show is being kept under tight ropes, and Amazon is doing a good job of making sure nothing crazy leaks. Most likely, the main characters of the show will be totally original, so there's no way of knowing specific names, but what we do know is, based off this image, we see 5 people in total. 3 vault dwellers and 1 person standing by the vault doors, either welcoming them into the new world or maybe breaking into the vault for some unknown reason. Lastly, there's another person who is either passed out or dead right between the 2 groups. Something else that's worth noting is that we're going to be focusing on Vault 33, a never before seen vault in the series. Some of the cast has been released, and there are some notable actors like Ella Purnell and Walton Goggin, but they don't have any roles that they're playing. Perhaps the biggest name attached to this is Jonathan Nolan, the brother of legendary director Christopher Nolan. Jonathan co-wrote the Dark Knight trilogy, a very good and, in my opinion, best adaptation of Batman we have ever seen, so you know this show is going to have some heavy themes and dark moments. But back to the cast. Based off the titles under these actors, one of them says Power Armor 5, meaning we'll most likely see the Brotherhood of Steel, a set of characters that are iconic to the series. Along with the main characters, the side characters just have to be likable. Companions are a huge part of the series. Having the ability to pick and choose who you want to follow you throughout the whole game is something special to Fallout. If we do get side characters as companions, I hope that they can live up to the legends like Nick Valentine and Raoul from Fallout New Vegas. Maybe even having references to the Institute, or that some ghouls can still be human. What would be cool is if they actually come out in the show, but relax, Angel. That's just asking for way too much. Finally, to close out this portion of the video, a very important part to Fallout is the enemies and the creatures. And so far, we have not seen anything regarding that, but I hope that the show can capture the feeling of terror of seeing a Deathclaw for the first time like you do in the game. Along with the Deathclaws, mutants are also very important. To see giant, disgusting, violent human hybrids live action would be awesome. I hope that the costume designs and the makeup are just elite. Take a look at The Last of Us. The clickers looked really well done. I'll touch more on that show a bit later. Even the Raiders are something that just has to be done right. Sure, they're like the most boring type of enemy in Fallout because they're just people, but unlike in the games, on screen they can have more depth and character to them. Fallout is a franchise that is just jam-packed with story and content. So much detail and dialogue, it's easy to forget certain things, but I feel like the show should have some callbacks or Easter eggs. For example, it would be cool if we saw a fan-favorite weapon like the Fat Man, a very iconic weapon to the franchise. Along with that, maybe even the Deathclaw Gauntlet. And hey, let's not forget the Alien Blaster. It'd be really cool to see these small details and for sure put a smile on all the fans' faces, including mine. Apart from the weapons, the costumes, like I mentioned earlier, are very important, like the Brotherhood of Steel will most likely show up in the show and look awesome as always. But I would like to see other factions, like for example the Enclave, a very evil group bent on controlling the wasteland with some awesome armor. And to go above and beyond, to have little mention, or better yet, come up in the show, the New California Republic, aka the NCR. This armor is just so clean, the trench coat and the helmet with the red eyes, it's just too good. Besides costumes and weapons, the game's lore just has to be mentioned. There's so much across all the games to discuss here in this video, but perhaps the biggest event and the whole reason why Fallout even happened is because of the Great War. Maybe the first episode can shed some more light on that. The only time you've ever played Fallout before the bombs dropped was in the beginning of Fallout 4. We saw a glimpse of a normal society. Of course, it only lasted for a bit. It's something that Fallout fans are just so curious about. How is society on a day-to-day basis? Perhaps the show can go into for a bit and also touch on if the Great War could have been avoided. Nonetheless, seen in live action would be cool. In Fallout lore, the Great War only lasted a couple hours, leaving the United States in shambles. As most fled to the vaults, many were not so lucky, and had to pay the price for the ones in power's mistakes. As of the recording of this, it's still a mystery as to where the show is going to be taking place. It's being filmed in New Jersey, New York, and Utah. Will the show be jumping from location to location, or are they just using the production sets? Really, I don't know. But if it does take place somewhere we haven't seen the franchise go, I hope that the locations that our main characters discover are just as memorable as some from the games. What would be cool is if seeing those from the game's live action. For sure, we know that the Red Rocket truck stop, based off this image, will be there. Even areas like the Super Duper Mart is also going to show up. So it's really cool. It shows how Amazon and the people involved in this really care about the project. For this part of the video, I'm going to be diving into what the story could be about. Most likely it's going to go the route of the vault dwellers re-emerging into the world just to be greeted by a rotting, toxic wasteland. We're going to be following the inhabitants of Vault 33 as they're trying to navigate and survive this harsh new world. Either that or something entirely new, like maybe trying to find other vault dwellers, or perhaps maybe taking parts from different game stories. For example, one of the vault dwellers could have had a child with them and lost them when everything was going down, and maybe their reason for traveling outside in the wasteland is to find them. This character would be taking on the story of the Fallout 4 main character, when Sean, who was the main character's son, was missing. And maybe another vault dweller is listening to this voice that's guiding them and teaching them on how to rebuild society and bring back the old world, pre-nuclear bombs. Eventually, the group or this person learns the name of this mysterious voice and find out that it's the Overseer, the main questline from Fallout 76. A nice way to introduce a character would be to do something like this. Our main character encounters someone who is standing in their own grave and is about to get shot, calling back to Fallout New Vegas' intro, and the main character of that game is actually shot and left for dead, but later on is dug out and makes a full recovery. But in the show, instead of the character getting shot, our MC steps in and helps them from their demise. Being grateful for this, they join the group and follow us along the journey. Take a look at The Last of Us, arguably the best video game adaptation of all time, other than Mario. But The Last of Us was able to perfectly not rely on the game entirely. The fact that the show felt so unique that it made you forget it was based off a game, for me at least. It's just something that they did beautifully. Episode 3 of The Last of Us, titled Long Long Time, focused on two side characters from the game, Bill and Frank. In a very emotional, heartfelt episode, they were able to make an episode that just stuck to a lot of people. Things like this could really elevate the Fallout show. Characters that we don't really pay mind to could end up being in the best episodes people have ever seen. If the Fallout show can do this, then this can be truly an amazing experience. We all know that Fallout is a scary game. Though it's not marketed like a horror game, it definitely has its scary moments. Wandering the wasteland at night with almost complete darkness and the only source of light is from your Pip-Boy, then the music goes from a somber mood to a chase scene when a Deathclaw comes charging at you, or maybe you're wandering in Fallout 76's most scary area, the Mire, and you hear the roars of the Great Sheep Squatch, a giant terrifying beast that goes against the laws of nature. I hope that when a Deathclaw does show up in the show, because it's pretty much a given that one will come up. It's Fallout's most famous creature, if not the most famous. So when it does show up, I hope that it looks absolutely terrifying and well detailed. The same thing with the other creatures that'll be in this show. It kind of goes back into hoping that makeup and costumes will be elite, and which I'm pretty sure they are. An aspect of the game that is always kind of eerie is how the game does a good job of making the player feel lonely. And I'm not talking about the lonely of sitting at your room alone in the darkness. No, that's a different type of lonely. I'm talking about the emptiness the wasteland is offering. It's just that, a wasteland. And when you stand at certain points and just gaze at the beautiful landscapes, Bethesda does a good job of making the player feel small. I hope that the show can emulate that feeling, the same way the game has. The gore Fallout has is crazy. When you critically hit someone with bats, they just blow up and start spewing blood everywhere. It's both gory and kind of funny. Add some mods in and it's a real bloodbath. Amazon is also no stranger to violence. Just take a look at The Boys, a show that really is violent and vulgar, but also entertaining, and one of my new favorite shows of the modern day. So really it comes down to if the show will be rated TVMA, which hopefully and most likely will be. All in all, I'm just so happy that a game series like Fallout is finally going to get its own show, and I hope that it can succeed the same level as others have, and pave the way for other video game adaptations. And if this show fails, then Fallout fans are loyal to the series, and they'll stick by it. But don't get me wrong, they will definitely let you hear about it, Bethesda. Let me know down below in the comments. What do you guys think? You think the Fallout show will be great, or do you think it's going to be a flop? And what do you think they can add or create to make it a really good show? I'll be happy to read it. Also, thank you so much for the support on my channel recently. It really does mean a lot. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please check out some of my other videos if you like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.